Hello and welcome to my art spa. My name is Anna and today I'm going to show you how to create the ultimate kit to start jelly printing right now. I'll show you first how to create a jelly plate, homemade with very simple ingredients. We're going to be making some texture plates using some simple things you might already have as well. And I will show you how I make my stamps with foam. And what else? We have here some examples of the plates I already printed using those materials. I find it very interesting, and every time you get something unique, something different. So without any further ado, let's get started. First, let me show you how I make my jelly plates. It's a super simple recipe. You'll be able to create jelly plates any shape, any size, any thickness. And look at this. They work just as good as store-bought jelly plates. You're going to need a container. You are going to need some glycerin that you can probably find online or at the Walmart. You're going to need unflavored gelatin. Any package of unflavored gelatin will do. And a container for measuring. I personally had a hard time finding a container that had no markings, no branding at the bottom. You need a surface that's going to be smooth, because once the jelly sets, you'll be using the bottom of your plate to do the printing, not the top, the bottom. You will see the bottom and the top, they're both pretty smoothly, but the top might have some bubbles. I tell you not to worry about the bubbles, and I'll show you why later. So let's go ahead and get started how to make jelly plates. First, what I usually do is to pour some water in my container just to get an idea of how much of the mixture I'm going to need to create my jelly plate. So I'm pouring that water into the measuring cup to find out the total amount of liquids I'm going to need to make this plate. And that is 1/4 liter or 250 grams of liquid. Once you measure everything, you're going to use your container where you're going to make your plate are ready to do the mixing. So here's me measuring my glycerine, and I'm going to pour right into the container. And I'm going to accelerate through this part because it's pretty much making gelatin. You pour the glycerine, you pour the gelatin on top of the glycerine, and you mix it a little to let it combine and hydrate. And then in the end, you're going to pour your hot water. And you're going to mix it well. Do not worry about bubbles or anything, because again, the bottom surface is what you're going to be using. So I like to scrape the bottom really good to make sure there is no clumps in the bottom. And then I will scoop up some of the bubbles on the top, but it's again not a big deal. Once there you go, I'm spreading the gelatin to give it a chance to hydrate. And yeah, it's pretty much gelatin making, guys, only with outer measurements, so it's thicker, and also with glycerin instead of cold water. And then you come with the hot water to complete the process of dissolving the gelatin. Simple as that. And the plate is ready. It's been a few hours. Note here, do not refrigerate. The first time I tried making oh no, thunder. As I was saying, the first time I made those, I put it in the refrigerator and I thought they're kind of gooey. So no need to refrigerate. I here noticed that the previous one I made was thinner. This one today was a bit on the thick side. You don't need to make a thick plate. There's really no need for that. Look at the difference. The other one works just fine. But yeah, no, it's not a problem either. It is going to work. It is going to print. And as you will see here, I'm going to show you right now, it is a bit on the soft side as well. It's very flexible, however, very resistant. It's not going to break on you. If you want your plate to be harder, you can melt it down in the microwave and add more gelatin to it. To store, keep it on acetate or hard plastic and put it away in a plastic box. All right, let's put them to the test. In case you're not familiar with the process, you put a thin layer of acrylic paint, you spread with a brayer, and then you bring your paper, your page where you're going to do the printing, put a little pressure, pull the print. There you have it. And then you go and do it a second time, and you'll see with the homemade one, I even did the third time. That's what we call the ghost print, because there's still residue of the paint on your plate. So here's what I'm gonna do. I am gonna try both sides of my homemade plate to show you what happens if your plate has a lot of bubbles. So let me go ahead and do a few prints, and I'll come back with the results. Okay, so I just pulled the second print, and yeah, see, I have those little marks. Let's compare with the first one. This one thing I noticed is the homemade plates you can keep printing and printing. Yeah, I don't know if those are bubbles or not, but look at my store-bought plate. I always leave some imperfections, so that's why I told you don't need to worry about bubbles. Just use the bubbles to enhance your project. Now let's go over everything you need to have to complete your kit. You will have to buy a couple of things, and one thing is going to be acrylic paint. You can find at your discount store. I bought a few at my Euro shop, and for €1 you get a big tube like this, and it's very good and will last you a long time. You will need to buy a brayer. You can look at Temu, you can look at AliExpress. At the craft stores, it tends to be a little more expensive, but yeah, you need to have a brayer. And now I'm going to show you creative ways to get those different textures using things that you may also have around the house. And the good thing about this is that you can recycle all your paper. See, there's things written here. I don't know if you can see. But once I use those in a collage project, no one will be able to notice that. So you can recycle your paper. A few things you can use without having to do or modify anything is wrappings from this, I think it was tangerines. You know, those plastic things that come in your fruits or vegetables or avocados. This create this kind of texture right here. Bubble wrap is another way to create texture. I used this cookie cutter to create my heart-shaped jelly plate. It's super easy to cut, but you can just use a knife and create any shape you want. And that way you already print in a heart shape. I had those buttons and I needed something to put them down, so I use caps from gin. There's alcohol bottles that come with this. You can use a cork. Those wooden pieces, I had it at home sitting a while. I don't know why I had those. So I also use my punch, and I get craft foam. And you just have to carefully, because they're sometimes a bit too thick, you just cut your punch, whatever shape you want, and then you glue with tacky glue to one of your supports, wooden cubes. So I went ahead and I did this all with my punches. And this one, I just cut a stripe of the foam, and I glue it like that, creating this pattern. That's how I made this print. And for the polka dots, see, I created this one. There you go. I made X's and hearts and stars and a doggy paw. And what else? For the shapes that I just didn't have punches for, I roughly trace on my foam and I cut the best I could. This was actually a cookie cutter that I used to trace and cut my foam. This is how I actually attach the buttons. I just had a thick piece of cardboard. You can recycle your Amazon boxes or whatever cereal boxes, but it needs to be sturdy. This way you are able to put the impression on your jelly plate and move it out without, touching the edges. I did this one with straw. I had those paper straws and I just cut them and created this pattern. It looks really nice on my prints. I have hearts, and with the negative part of the hearts, I also made, see, this one is double-sided. I made the negative texture plate. I use paper clips. There's again little flowers that I use cutters for. There's a cut by hand and created this rainbow-like thing. I had those tiny buttons and I just glued them down with, again, I try using hot glue sometimes. Sometimes I use the hot glue peel off, so sometimes I use my, what's it called? Tacky glue. I use pom-poms. And this is another bunch that I have I created those. And for fun shapes, just random circles, and I cut them in half and I created this pattern. And again, I wanted a botanical, so I always try to use the actual shape and the negative as well. It makes great impressions. So those are some creative ways for you to start your very own professional looking kit for jelly printing. So just be creative, you guys. Anything you have around the house, you don't have to spend a lot of money to start creating with your jelly plates. It's fun and it's unique. Every time it's a little surprise. With more practice, you learn to have a little more control over your results. And I'm gonna have a video too showing you how to fix jelly prints that they're not as cute, that you don't like it very much. Don't worry, there is ways to fix them. So yeah, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy, and I hope I inspire you to do something fun, something creative. Bye. I'll see you soon.